Cowabunga, ghouls, and welcome back to Toast Talks, the show where toast talks. I am your hostess with the mostest, Toastess, and today we are going to be getting into the Boulay Brothers Dragula Titans, Season 2, Episode 4. Y'all, we're getting into the Nosferatu beach party. Y'all, this episode was bonkers. Let's just be so honest. There was so much drama, so much behind the scenes shit, and just so many story beats that were developed. I don't know, just a lot happens in this episode, so I'm gonna keep the intro brief, but I do want to say this one thing. As the season continues to get messier and messier, I feel like I need to make this clear. Please do not send hate to any of these ghouls. They have provided us with all of this wonderful entertainment, and it is their lives. It is their lives, and they are sensitive human beings. So, you know, as much as we can kiki and, you know, maybe say a little shady thing here or there, let's keep it on the channel. Let's maybe only send them the most love possible. Okay? Kisses, and thank you. So we start off in the trick-or-treat house manor situation like we usually do. And, you know, it's a bunch of shirtless white men throwing beach balls around. I was wondering when we were going to see the shirtless white men. The Boulets do love to throw in a good shirtless white man. They're filling their quota for the season. But I really did like this week's opening. They called out, you know, quote-unquote drag experts online who don't do drag but have a lot to say about drag. Which I loved. And, you know, they called Sigourney's ass out for her fan base comments. And, you know, they give a little bit of foreshadowing for something to come. Which I liked, because I feel like they've kind of just been recapping what happened last time, which sort of feels like that's what the previously on Dragula segment is for. So I like that they kind of are taking the opportunity in this beginning to foreshadow something else. I just think that's a nice touch. I hope they do that more instead. After the intro, the ghouls come back into the lab. You know, everybody's talking about last week's cauldron, and they just show back to back all the shots last week of what everybody said to Dahlia. And then they cut to a shot of her sitting in the corner by herself. It's just, you guys, the editors never cease to be just the shadiest bitches on the planet. And yeah, it's great. They show a shot of Dahlia vaping, which I fucking love when they do that. Honestly, I think I've decided retroactively that I'm gonna start a vape counter for the season. So before we jump into the episode, let me just clear that up really quick. And let me show you all the times that they've already shown people either smoking or vaping during this season.
Okay, so surprisingly, there was no vape shot in episode 1. I could have sworn that there was. We don't get our first nicotine smoking shot until episode 2. At the beginning, when Jay smokes a cig during the middle of Eva and Sigourney's argument through his mask. I don't really know if that counts, but I don't know. I think I'm going to say it counts. During the cauldron of episode 2, Dahlia hits the vape during the argument with Loris and Jade, and that is vape shot number 2. Technically 1.5. Now, in episode 3, we get this shot of Cynthia vaping into her bouquet, and that is vape shot number 3. And now here at the beginning of episode 4, we get this shot of Dahlia vaping, sitting alone in the corner by herself, and that is vape shot number 4. And without further ado, back to you, Toast.
Oh my god, I forgot to do the little segment talking about my look. Oh my gosh. So this is the look. This is so... Girl, I'm all over the place today. Okay, so this is the look today. She's giving you very, you know... I feel like it's a similar vibe to last week. It's very BDSM vampire, but at the beach, you know? She's on her honeymoon, and she went to Aruba, you know, to bathe in the moonlight. I was thinking about adding a little bit of blood to this, but I think we're just going to be giving a little bit of a virginal vampire look today. She hasn't even grown in her fangs yet. Okay, so back in the lab, Dahlia is feeling like she's being dogpiled on, and, you know, she's expressing that to the group, and we get a confessional from Disasterina basically explaining the situation. She's like, although it might seem like Dahlia's being bullied, it's more so that she's just getting her karma. And I'm like, that's how you know that Dahlia is really down bad. Because, like, again, if Disasterina is, like, shitting on you, and, like, if Disasterina's not vibing with you, I feel like that's how you know that you fucked up somewhere in the universe, you know? Then Zavaleta requests the floor, and she, you know, apologizes to everybody for her comments in the cauldron, and it cuts to, you know, a shot of her in the cauldron being like, goth is a lifestyle, and, you know, there's a lot of you that are playing dress up and going to a quinceañera. And I was like, ooh. So then they start talking about this boyfriend drama. And, you know, she starts kind of going off on JK about, like, you know, I could say one question to you and it would, like, ruin you and make you look crazy. And, you know, so they're, like, throwing shots back and forth. And it gets really heated, and, you know, we get this iconic exchange from Zava. She reaches her breaking point, and she's like, I'm actually done. Please call my mom right now. And then she storms off set, and then Jay is like, call the bitch's mom. And then Zava storms back on set to be like, shut the fuck up, bitch. And she storms off set again. And then we get this, like, whole segment where they, like, go outside of, you know, the filming area, and, like, we see Zava, like, run off into the lot. They've had other people storm out before, but I feel like the way that this played out, I don't know that we've ever seen them, like, out in the parking lot like that. Whenever we get, like, any sort of look behind the scenes, I'm always just, like, very fascinated by that. And this was definitely no exception. And Abora brings up a confessional. You know, they didn't even really get a chance to mourn the fact that Jade had died before they get into all this drama. And that was just so sad. I was genuinely sad about that. I'm like, they didn't even recognize a fallen sister. So Cynthia is, like, the only one that runs out to go and talk with Zava. She is such a real one for that. And she goes outside to find Zava hugging a tree, and just, like, having a moment. And, you know, Cynthia goes out and helps her. You know, Zava opens up to her about what happened a little bit more. Apparently, Zava had a man, and the man wasn't good for him, so they broke up. And then Jay ended up getting with that same man. And so Zava feels that it is some kind of revenge. But it's really just, like, incredible to see the whole thing play out on camera. It's, like, such an iconic moment. So, you know, Cynthia starts to bring Zava back in, and Zava, like, you know, is like, get these cameras out of my face. And then Cynthia has another banger of a line. She's like, come on, it's their job, but it's our reality. I was like, girl, she was coming through with, like, the banger lines today. I'm like, that was such a good one. So, you know, after they bring Zava back in, they announce the challenge, and it's a reprise of the Nosferatu Beach Party Challenge from season 4. Yeah, I'm excited to see this challenge. I feel like, I don't know, it's a little bit of a weird one, but I like the weird ones. I think it's cool. And anytime we get to see vampires, I mean, always here for that. The thing is, though, it's kind of a shame because I wore my bat outfit last week, so this is just sort of the scraps of what I had left over. This outfit, actually, I wore this the first time without the bathing suit underneath it for a Karma performance. Karma by JoJo Siwa. Yes, that one. Which is actually kind of fitting if you think about it. Like, Karma is a bitch. And she's with you right now. So then we get to the Fright Feet, and it is also returning from season 4. It's, you know, they have to, like, chug a pint of blood and, like, eat a whole bulb of garlic, which, disgusting. I don't know how these contestants make it through the day without just, like, blowing their bowels out. I just don't want to know what the toilets look like on set. So Vander comes out to administer the challenge, and y'all, she looked so incredibly pussy. Capital P ussy. She's actually giving a very similar headpiece vibe to me today, funnily enough. But she's, you know, got this cute little bat headpiece, and it's, like, rhinestone to fucking back. She's got these, like, rhinestoned nipples. The whole thing is just it's so good. Love seeing all of these looks from Vander this season. You know, they're chugging, they're eating, they're doing irreparable harm to their bodies, I'm sure, and JK wins. but not before Zavaleta almost chokes and died. And they literally cut to a shot of one of the producers just like giving her the Heimlich, which I just love it. I love all of these shots that we get to see of them cutting to them doing something else. It's just always it's so shady. They don't show it to us in the moment. But I'm just imagining like them in the moment being like realizing that Zava's choking, them having to like pause the challenge to like deal with Zava choking, and then them going back to the challenge. Like there was like a full moment where like they had to stop the challenge, like because she was dying. Like to me, I cannot overstate how funny that is. But yeah, she didn't die. Great. And JK wins the fright feat. So winning the fright feat gives Jay the ability not only to save himself or somebody else if he wants to, he also gets to pair up all of the groups for the challenge, which just seems like a lot of power to give to one person who, is able to chug blood, but it's not Toast's Dragula, I love that Jay is a little bit shady with it. He picks Blackberry as his partner, which makes a lot of sense. I feel like they would work well together. And then he pairs up Dahlia, Sigourney, and Abora in the same group, which that was definitely the shadier pairing. And then he pairs up Cynthia, Eva, and Priscilla, and Jaharia, Zavaleta, and Disasterina. Yeah, there was really only one super shady pairing. But then again, I feel like whoever Dahlia was on the group with was gonna be kind of, they do not like that girl. Then we get into rehearsals. I love seeing them like practice their little choreo and, getting to see more creatives this week. They talk a little bit about their looks and like what they're gonna be giving. So most of the teams are working pretty well together. And then there's Sigourney, Abora, and Dahlia. And they are definitely having a time. And Dahlia is just very clearly not having it. And so, it just seems like Abora and Sigourney are kind of maybe carrying the weight of that group a little bit in terms of the energy. During rehearsals, we get even more drama. Zava and Jay kind of both respectively in their groups talk about, what is going on between them. And we kind of get like more from each of them about their, perspectives on the situation. They show a producer cutting in on, Jay and Blackberry's conversation. And, they're like, when Zava gets in the room, because she tells a different story, I just want to make sure that the stories match. It's just another interesting lens into the production. And like, it shows like the kinds of sort of leading questions that these producers will ask in order to get them to talk about things. It's just so interesting seeing how the producers produce. And the producers, those are my favorite characters right now on the show, is the character of the production, if that makes sense. So Jay is pretty adamant about not wanting to talk about this man, which I admire the fuck out of that. Like, that man isn't on the show. Like, he has nothing to do with the show itself, He just so happened to be dating two of the competitors. Bad luck for him, to be honest. This poor man. It cuts over to Zava, and she reveals that one question that would allegedly ruin Jay. And it's basically just, were you texting my man while we were together? Jay is really bad in confessional. He starts popping off on Zava. He's like, yeah, we were texting because we were friends. I wasn't like going around being like, hey, do you want to fuck? Which I love seeing this side from Jay. Like seeing Jay be so like, and like angry. It cuts to Zava in confessional, and we hear a producer ask, did JK cause your partner to cheat on you? Which again, it's just interesting to hear the way that they ask these questions. And then we get like some real vulnerability from Zava. She kind of starts opening up and she's like, I don't know. And then she starts talking about her depression. You can sort of piece it together that she maybe has a little bit of an understanding that she fucked up too. Like when she started opening up about her depression and her like maybe not being there and not showing up, I think that's her like realizing that maybe like she had some role to play in all of this too. I'm trying to talk about all of this delicately because like, it's like, their lives or whatever, but the drama is genuinely just so juicy. But yeah, I just thought that was like a really vulnerable moment from her, and I really liked seeing her open up about that. It just really adds another perspective to the whole thing, and it, It just reminds us the importance of taking care of our mental health. Boop-be-doo. Boo-boo-boo-boo-boo-boo-boo. Boop-boop-boop-boop-boo-boo. So after all of the rehearsals and the drama, it cuts to the runway. The Boulets come out with these like huge bat wings and these leotards, giving, you know, their own version of the challenge. I will say, this is maybe not my fave look of theirs. Like, just the details are maybe not 100% like where they usually are. Yeah, Swan's like leotard was a little bit puckered, and it was like noticeable because Drax looked so good. But I don't know, there was just a couple of little like fit inconsistencies, which I mean, coming from me is so rich, but you know, I just calls them like I sees them. But I did really love the bat wings though. Those were so fierce. And like the hair and makeup was really fabulous. The leotards just maybe weren't my favorite. So the guest judges this week are Akayla Cooper and Bonnie Aarons. And you know, I thought they were great. So let's get into these looks. So first up we have Blackberry looking absolutely stunning. The, you know, monochromatic red I think was such a fabulous choice. The red chain I thought was like particularly cool. She was looking hot. She was giving us a body. She looked really sexy, honestly. And I was, you know, looking very respectfully. So next is JK. I loved a lot of elements of this look. Like, I love the little wings that she had. I love the chains with like, you know, the vampire teeth on them. I think the gold draped skirt situation is like where he lost me with this look. I think it maybe clutters it up a little bit. And I think like just the pinstripe shorts would have been fine on their own. Like I think it would have been a little cleaner that way. Because like conceptually the look is really cool and I like the direction that he decided to go with it. I just think it was a little bit too many things going on at once. But I did really enjoy this look. And I'm never that mad at a little bit of maximalism. So Abora comes out next looking like she's ready to join the Navy. I love her little shoulder details. The little stripes have like frayed edges, which I thought was like a really, really neat touch. It's a little simple, but you know, overall I like it for her. I think it's cute. So Dahlia Black is up next and she comes out, you know, in this cover up with her floaties and this like cute little headpiece. You know, she does a reveal to this swimsuit, which has like this little bat on it. Overall, I thought she looked really adorable. Like, she had one of the cutest looks, I think, of the whole bunch. The details were maybe a little bit, like, lacking. Like, you know, there was the side part that was, like, coming up and stuff. And also, they really said that they liked the cover-up, but for me, the cover-up is just, like, I feel like it's a little too gray when the rest of the look is, like, shiny black and red PVC. I feel like it's, like, not exactly in the same world. But, like, I think the piece is really cute on its own. So I don't know. The look is a little disparate, but I like how adorable she looked. So Sigourney is up next and she's looking hot, honey. She's looking hot. She's giving us body. She's giving us a little bikini with a cape. And this look, it doesn't have all that many elements, but the elements that are there are really pussy. I think she looks expensive. And yeah, I mean, I'm not really that mad at it. She's, you know, using what she has to get what she wants. And yeah, I think she looks great. And this is where I stopped taking notes because again, I'm a professional. So I'm going to look at the pictures on my phone because I'm what? Professional. Oh, and I don't even have them saved yet. Because I'm a professional. So next up is Jaharia. Poor Jaharia, you guys. This was really sad. This made me really sad. I don't want to see that girl fail, but this is just not the best. I think for me, it really is like maybe the spider fascinator that is the most jail. I'm sorry, Jaharia. I'm really sorry. I I wish it didn't have to be this way. So coming out next is Disasterina. And I think she fucking ate this challenge, you guys. Like, she looks so good. She's given us, you know, that like swimming cap situation. It's very like synchronized swimmer vibes. The striping on the bodysuit, you know, just the little cowl situation. I think she looks really cute, and she had her little beach bag, and it had like the towel in it that said like die, detest, despair or something. I thought it was fabulous. I thought she nailed this challenge. Coming out next is Priscilla Chambers, giving us an Elvis vampire at the beach. She's got her little garlic necklace. I love the skull, and it looks like the skull has glasses on it, which if it does, that is really stupid and silly, and I love that. And yeah, overall, I think she looks incredible. I feel like this is kind of also a home run for me. I feel like she looks great. So next up is Zavaleta, and she is giving us, in the words of Bonnie Aarons, a nudist Nosferatu. I think that it's really bold to come out here and give this look, which is like why I like it so much. Like, it's literally just skin and a bedazzled pussy and bedazzled boobs. I kind of love that for her. Like, granted, she does have the cover up, you know, which is cute. I do like the cover up. Yeah, I just think the audacity of this look in and of itself is enough to merit a yes from me. Next up is Eva Destruction, and oh my god, you guys, she looks incredible. The cover up is really fucking sickening. Like this, like, you know, floor length trench coat situation. She's got her little parasol. She's got her John Lennon glasses. It really is eating for me. And so is she with these teeth, girl. Nom nom. I thought that she looked fabulous. Jesus fucking Christ, you guys. So next up is Cynthia Doll. Guys, I really don't even know what to say about this. Guys, like, the more I look at it, the more I'm just like losing faith in humanity. But maybe gaining faith in something else. She looks like a Kardashian, like thrice baked. The goggles, you guys, the fucking goggles, I can't. Just so incredibly cursed. And that ass is criminal, honey. But, you know, if I'm cringing, I'm living. So I kind of live. So that was it for the looks. Now, in terms of the challenge, I thought the standouts for me were for sure Blackberry. Like, she was doing amazing. And JK. Like, I thought that they worked so well together as a group. And like, honestly, my eyes just kept going to them the whole time. Everybody else did, I think, a good job. But I don't know, they were definitely the standouts for me. And yeah, the challenge is really cute. I feel like the song itself was like a little interesting. I liked the verses a lot. I don't know about the chorus, just like literally being the name of the challenge. That part, I don't know. I think there maybe could have been something more creative we could have done on the writing team, but hey, listen. And, you know, yes, that is a prompt to hire me as your next songwriter, because I would not do that. I would make different choices. I did feel like the main stage felt a little bit like, there were different zones that felt like they maybe had an advantage, right? Like, if you were up in front, I feel like you had a distinct advantage over the people in the back who like didn't have as much space to work with. And like, you know, in the case of like Sigourney and Dahlia and Abora, they fully just had like an umbrella in their way to deal with it, like literally took up all of the stage. So I thought the staging of it was definitely kind of interesting, and like it just proved to be a little bit of a challenge for some groups as opposed to others, depending on where they were placed. I thought that was interesting. So we get to the judging, and, you know, Disasterina, Cynthia Doll, and Sigourney Beaver are announced safe. So then they, you know, give them some critiques. Akela Cooper is really, really coming in with the hot critiques. She like calls out Priscilla for her corset showing underneath her outfit. Swan in particular was definitely caught off guard by that because, you know, she could tell, she literally like started covering up her body and she was like, oh, no, not this corset, honey. She was like, no, you will not see this one today. Oh my God, and she calls out Eva too for her corset being too small. She was coming through with the really hyper-specific critiques, which I loved. So the tops for the week are Eva Destruction, Priscilla Chambers, and Blackberry. And Blackberry snags the win this week, which I was so happy for her. I love Blackberry, and I feel like she absolutely ate this challenge. She looked so hot, and yeah, like, I don't know, my eyes just kept being drawn to her the whole time. And so that means that Zava, Jaharia, Dahlia, and Abora are the bottom 4, and they are all going to go up for extermination this week. Oop. 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 Oop.
That's iconic. That's iconic movement.
Thank you.
So after Judgment, it cuts to another backstage moment, and Jaharia's like, you know, laying on the ground backstage. She's like, I don't want to be bothered right now. And Jaharia, you know, is having a moment because, you know, her critiques maybe hit a little bit too close to home. You know, it's to the point to where, like, Swan literally comes over and is, like, trying to console her, which I don't know if this is, like, a thing that happens all the time, but it just felt, like, weird that they were, like, showing this. I just thought it was interesting that they decided to show this, especially when there was, like, so much going on this episode. But, yeah, I mean, it was definitely interesting, and I loved seeing another, like, behind the scenes kind of shot too. Like they've really been leaning into those a lot this episode in particular. So then after that little moment, we get to the cauldron, and oh my God, Jay starts off by addressing her and Zava's little thing earlier. While this exchange happens,
the reason why I exploded is because you trigger me.
Yeah. I kind of hate to say it, but I fear that the foot fetish girlies are winning this season. Yeah, while that is going on, Zava actually surprises everyone and just fully comes out and, you know, begins to make amends with JK. She's like, she apologizes. She's like, you know, I think you triggered me because you saw the old me. And, you know, I only hope that we can, like, move forward together. You know, I guess the bitch must have called her mom. They're all talking about who they think should go home, and Priscilla says Dahlia should go home. And, you know, she asked everyone at one point, who has been victimized by Dahlia? And, like, almost everyone raises their hand. And, you guys, that brings us to our 5th addition to the vape counter with this lovely shot of Dahlia vaping after being chewed out by Priscilla. The second time this episode, wow. So, you know, Dahlia and Priscilla are fighting. Priscilla is like, I'm done with you, fully, like, renounces their friendship, basically. And is like, yeah, you're a cunt, basically. And Dahlia's like, I don't have to say anything about you for people to form an opinion about you. Which is, like, one of those things that, like, I feel like in a different context, it might not have hit as hard. Yeah, I don't know. I think just with everything else that has been going on with Dahlia, it's just like not the cutest look. Yeah, I don't know. She really just keeps digging herself deeper and deeper into these holes. And so we close out the cauldron with Zava being like, cheers to you, girl, and mind your fucking business. Which honestly is a motto to live by. Don't make me close one more door. I don't wanna hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you're there. So then after the cauldron, you know, they cut to possibly the wildest thing in this whole episode. It cuts to, like, a bunch of B-roll footage, and, like, we literally just hear the audio of, you know, this conversation where Dahlia is saying that, you know, she was threatened with the mental health check.
Also, I need to point out, we get this shot of Dahlia smoking on a golf cart, which I suppose is our 6th addition to the smoke counter. I'm renaming it the smoke counter, you guys.
And Dragula kind of calls her in and is like, girl, that didn't happen. And so we get this whole exchange. I'm gonna break it down. Dahlia was like, yeah, somebody on the phone. And Drac cuts her off and is like, which one? The whole crew is here. Gag, you guys. Gag. You guys, Dahlia is literally fighting for her life in this moment. And she's like, oh my god, yeah. So Keely, and she brings up, you know, I guess, I don't know who this is. I don't know if she's a producer, but just someone named Keely on the set. One of the other producers is like, yeah, no, that was in response to you repeatedly telling them that you were not mentally well. And then Swan chimes in and she's like, yeah, so it sounds like, you know, they were just taking your concerns very seriously and actually acting on them, which, yeah, hello. But I'm just like, it definitely is crazy for Dahlia to say that they threatened her with a mental health check after she told them multiple times that she was not well. And then the same producer comes in again with like an iconic line. She's like, I'll tell you how it came across. And then she just breaks down the whole thing. She was like, okay, well, it's coming across like, now that we're off camera, you know, like, I said what I said because they were threatening a mental health check on me. And that was not the truth. Girl, get her on the show. Like, she was giving me drama. And then Swan is like, yeah, you know, you're still mic'd. So anyone can hear you that has a headset. And so like Dahlia begins backpedaling and like apologizing, and she's like, yeah, that's fucked up. And then Drac is like, you know, you're not a prisoner here, girl. Like, you could leave, like, if you are having mental health problems. And so, like, the producer is like, do you want to go? And Dahlia's like, no, I don't want to go. I just, like, don't want to be at the epicenter of all this shit. Well, girl, she is the shit that keeps stanking. Maybe she just doesn't know. But there's no way. Well, maybe. There is a way. Self-reflection is not very common trait in US Americans. So then after all of that, we get to the extermination, which feels crazy to jump back into after like all of that we just got. But nonetheless, we jump into the extermination, and it's another gross eating challenge. They have to do like a vampire feast of like all these different meats and like organs and stuff, and they, you know, they have like the blood to drink it down with. Yeah, and so during the extermination, this was also wild. Abora like hops on the table and she starts like eating meats from the center of the table, which they then cut to people in confessionals like Dahlia and Zava being like, yeah, they specifically told us not to eat these meats. Which, like, from a production perspective, that was a really stupid move to put inedible meats in front of a bunch of crazy girls in a meat eating competition for insane people. Like, of course they're gonna eat the ineatable meat. Like, hello? I'm kind of surprised that Abora is the only one that did it, to be honest. But the extermination is pretty great. We get everybody talking about why they should stay, along with, you know, just the sounds of meat eating and retching, which is always fun. And then we get a cute little scream from Zavaleta at the end, which I loved. And then immediately after that, it cuts to like more B-roll footage, this time of an ambulance, and it's like, oh, we had to send Abora to the ER because of the meat that she ate. And there's this audio, and Swan is like, yeah, that was not the right choice. Like, you should throw that up. And then there's just audio of Abora just retching. At this point, it could have just, the whole episode could have just been an audiobook. And you know, as if that wasn't enough, then after all of that, we get into the Hellbound showdown for this week. And this time, it's Loris versus Jade. They both look incredible. They both are doing definitely very different takes on it. Loris is, I feel like, doing a more traditional kind of take on it. You know, she's got her like itsy bitsy, teeny weeny, yellow polka dot bikini that she wore for the first time today. And yeah, she looks really cute. I like her interpretation of it a lot. I think the prosthetics are super cool. And yeah, she looks like she's going to the beach. And Jade is taking it in like a more Y2K pop princess kind of area, which I'm obsessed with. The Batwing headband is like really cool. It's like probably one of my favorite parts. I just love like the whole thing. She looks sexy. She looks like a video vixen from the underworld, you know? And yeah, I just thought that she looked really hot. So they lip sync to the same song that they just did, Nosferatu Beach Party. And I thought it was an interesting choice to have them do the same song. Like, on the one hand, like, it's nice because they're all getting the same challenge, you know? Like, they're still having to perform the same song. But on the other hand, like, as a viewer, like, there's this part of me that's like, well, they could have given us, like, another song. But I guess I get it. Like, it makes sense. I always relish in the opportunity to see Jade perform, and this was definitely no different. I thought that she absolutely tore it up in the lip sync. And that's not to say that Loris was bad. I loved what she had going on. She had her little dance moves. She was doing great. But I don't know, for me it was definitely Jade that took it. And she was pussy. And so Jade wins the Hellbound Showdown, and she will continue to fight, which means that my main character arc for Jade continues into the next episode, and maybe beyond, who knows? And with that, we have come to the end of another totally tubular episode of Toast Talks, a show where Toast talks. I have been your host, Toast, and if you'd like the video, please consider leaving a like, leave me a little comment, you know, let me know what you're thinking about the season, or let me know what you're thinking about this fit, or let me know what you had for dinner this week, or let me know about a fun fact about bats. Just let me know something. And if you would like to see more of this fabulous face, you know, consider sticking around and subscribing. I'm only going to be posting more videos from here. And join me next time, where I will be diving into another fabulous episode of the Boulet Brothers Dragula Titans Season 2. Now, if you'll excuse me, I am going to go get a moon tan. Stay totally toasty, everyone. Mwah.